Hey, everybody, tell us where you're from over there, just like always. We're going to start in just about one more minute, guys. Okay, we're going to get started. I'm going to go through this quick. We got a very special guest. Go through this every evening. Just going to go real quick on this. PrepperNet is an organization of like-minded individuals who believe in personal responsibilities, individual freedoms, and preparing for disasters of all origins, including the pandemic. This group is aimed at individuals that have an interest in gaining knowledge, acquiring new skills, and networking with like-minded individuals that are preppers and survivalists. Check us out on preppernet.com or our Facebook group page as well. We have 65 meetings throughout the United States. You can search for these on meetup.com, or you can join preppernet.com, and there'll be a map with all the cities linked out. And you can so we have meetings in all these cities with a city leader that will kind of guide and instruct the entire group with different prepper topics each month. It's a great place to meet other people. As you know, one of the things I push is being in a group. Being in a group is your most important prep. And if you're not in a group, you're going to die. Kind of say that with kind of a little funny, but it's true. You got to be in a group. I am the CEO of Son Ovens International. Son Ovens International, we save lives throughout the world. A third of the earth today still uses wood and charcoal to cook. Imagine a mother in a hut in the continent of Africa cooking food in this little hut where the mother is actually carrying the baby or the 1 or 2 year old on her back or stomach. It literally, the leading cause of death is smoke inhalation, respiratory infection from mother's cooking. And so this thing saves lives. It saves the forest. It's a green. Hey, we're a green company. You can get a discount if you call or use that code on our website. It is an amazing product. We've been in business for 30 years. And I'm telling you, you can cook, you can dehydrate, you can use it as an autoclave, you can use it as pasteurized water, many things you can use that for. I do a podcast called the Prepping Academy. It is somewhat mediocre. I mean, it's Kyle and I, we have fun, and we have tens of thousands of listeners. Our podcast in the month of January and February, I think it's at almost 56,000 or something downloads, which is mind-boggling. So, and that's all the ones that we've put out in the month of January and February. Unbelievable, kind of shocking. So check us out, Prepping Academy, on all the different podcast places. This has been our schedule. We're at the last night, but you can see the schedule. Go back and watch some of these. Each one of these has nuggets that you and your family or friends could use. So go back and watch these. They're on the YouTube channel. Glenn Tate presented his face for the first time I've ever seen. John Jacobs, Sam Cole, great guest. And you're going to hear from us about some of the things we're going to do in the future. But tonight is Scott Hunt from Practical Preppers. He is in the house. I use this every night. And just like that, everyone stopped making fun of preppers. Isn't that the truth? You know, it's kind of irritating, all these people coming and asking me, what should I do? What should I do? And, you know, I tell them to go buy a $300 water filter, a Catadine water filter like I did. You know, they need to make the same mistakes at this point. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, it is a true little figure and has nothing to do with my name being Forrest, and don't be calling me Forrest Gump. I do want to say this, for God hath not given us a spirit of fear, but the power and of the love and of sound mind. We're not going to be preaching fear. We're going to be preaching knowledge. We're going to be telling you how to get better prepared, some of the things you should possibly be doing, but we're not going to try to scare you. That's not, the fear is from the devil. Someone already put run Force in the comments. Thanks, Linda, for that. I do want to say, I don't have my book. It's across the way there. I do want to say that my book should still be free. If it's not free, I'm sorry. I think I could only do it for 4 days, but there's a book I wrote called The Case for Christian Preparedness. I'm not sure. I think I could only do it for 4 days, which today might be the 5th day. Sorry about that. So tonight we do have Scott Hunt. He is known around the world in the galaxy as Engineer 775. He owns a small little unbelievable, he's an engineer, you know, total nerd. Well, no, it's not total nerd, but company called Practical Preppers. And he's a good friend. I see him smiling. I'm bringing him up on the stage. Can you hear me, Scott?
I can. And I'm not offended by being called a nerd.
Oh, you're not? Okay. You know, most engineers are not. That is crazy. So I'm going to remove the screen here. But Scott, before we get started, I have a video I want to show. If you don't know,
what are you up to?
Let me show you this video that I found, and let me see if I can figure out how to do this. You guys check this out right here. I want to share the audio.
Hey, folks, don't pay any attention to him.
Okay, here we go. Hope y'all can see this good enough here.
Of course, preppers don't live on bread alone. So with a fan, a broken refrigerator, plenty of duct tape, and some ingenuity, Scott has built a contraption to make the ultimate survival food.
I'm looking forward to this batch.
Yeah.
Beef jerky.
I take hot water from my wood boiler outside and bring water in here at about 180 degrees into the heat exchanger. The fan blows across that heat exchanger and the hot air travels into an old refrigerator. And so all the hot air blows across, and then we just close it up. We allow a little bit of air to escape. And in 4 hours, we'll be eating jerky. We don't do this out of fear. This is a lifestyle for us. We enjoy having a year's supply of food. It gives my children a sense of security.
A human being can only stay alive for a week without water.
Okay, I hope y'all saw that pretty good, because guess what? You liked that, didn't you? You were 18, 16 there?
I ate all that jerky and I gained 100 pounds, I think.
Well, wait, I got one more quick one I'm going to show. This is a surprise as well. This is only a couple seconds, but I like the statement here. Right here.
Back at the Y2K, they thought I was crazy, but now I don't hear that as much.
There you go. They thought you were crazy at Y2K. Now they don't hear that as much.
Well, I still think I'm crazy, but that's okay. I'm not deterred.
So you were on Doomsday Prep. I mean, I know weren't you like a judge on there as well?
Yeah, there were 4.5 seasons, and Southern Prepper 1 and I started scoring people on the show, and then it was just me after, I don't know, season 3, season 4, and then Doomsday Castle, and it was It was interesting. It ran its course. Well, people learned a lot. People laughed a lot. But it was a good experience.
Yeah, that was funny. I kid you not, you look 18 at the time.
Well, that was at least 50 years ago.
Well, Scott, thanks for coming on. I know you've been part of the chat, but you couldn't get in there tonight, could you? You could not figure it out.
No, I see everybody in there. I see my wife's in there. She's heckling me.
Hey, boss.
There's all sorts of there's all sorts of folks I recognize in there. So Tom Dupree, Linda Lester. Yeah, cool. So I can see everybody, but I can't comment. I'll talk to them.
Okay. Yeah, if you see a question in there, just go off on it.
Yes, sir.
Answer. So, hey, thanks for coming on. Hey, thanks for being a part of the expert panel for PrepperNet. And we were talking beforehand, and one of the things you said was, I formed the groups, and then you help the groups.
That's what we've been doing. I mean, we're not partnered up in any way, but there's, you've been doing this amazing job putting this thing together. And I've been spending, for me, your other guests are authors, and I don't know if that's their full-time gig, but for me, I've been doing this full-time since 2010 now. So almost 10 years, I've been helping groups prepare.
Well, tell us what you do exactly, all the details.
I won't do that to them, but so basically, this is turned into a full-time job for me to go and help people prepare wherever they are. So just for this year, I've been into Canada, Louisiana, Arkansas. We're just all over the country. People come in from YouTube or emails. I don't know where they're coming from, but I'm thankful for them. And then we'll either do a consultation. We can do a phone consultation or on-site. And then I come up with a plan for their group or for their property of how to prepare. So like for coronavirus, the best thing to do is stay put if you can. You can only do that if you have prepared the place that you're going to be sheltering in place at. So I have been working on these solutions for 25 to 30 years of how to be prepared with simple 1800 technology all the way up to the nerd stuff that you mentioned. I love it. It's fun. It's a fun thing for me to do, is design systems. So we cover everything from water to energy to cooking to sanitation, everything to run your comms. I'm kind of the boring infrastructure guy, but everybody appreciates a nice hot shower, and so that you can be better at your comms and security and those things. So I've been all over the place, burning up the road and doing a lot of digging. So we put a lot of water lines in.
Because I saw this big, terrifying hole that you dug.
It was terrifying. So recently we put in an Atlas shelter. It was about 60 foot long. We dug a hole straight down 25 feet down, about 25 feet wide with sheer side. Don't tell OSHA. But being in that hole and looking up at a 45-ton crane holding this bunker over your head, not very smart, but so we had a challenge to get this into this location. So part of this project is to install the shelter, and it's a wine cellar, not a bunker. And we're putting generators in it. We're putting solar systems to complement it. So this is a fully functional, fully self-contained, self-sufficient underground house in the form of an Atlas shelter. So it's very challenging. And so we're basically taking everything I've learned and putting it 25 feet underground. So it'll have everything: septics, water, power, comms.
So, and that thing costs, I think you said it was about $1,200 total.
That's about it. About $380. It's
you don't have to tell the price, but
it's a lot of money. It's way north of 6 figures.
Oh my goodness gracious! So I need 2 then.
Okay, we'd be glad. I enjoy doing what I do. That one's a little scary, mostly because of the site, not because we just didn't have room to work. So if you can imagine a 25, have you ever dug a hole? What's the deepest hole you ever dug?
Maybe 6 foot.
Right. And yeah.
Isn't that where a body goes?
Exactly. Well, it's a weird feeling to be down 25 feet under the ground with, this giant tomb. Anyway, that's what I've been doing. A lot of digging.
But you consult with water. You're known as the water guy and the solar guy. And so, and you do projects all the time by taking people off grid, right?
Yes. And we do hybrid systems. So yeah, I started with water. Water was the hobby. My neighbor calls me Magic Water. That's my Indian name.
Mm-hmm.
So how to get water and move it to different places, how to take care, just finding water, moving water, pumping water. So has been my hobby for a long time. And that's worked its way into solar and, on Doomsday Prepper, you saw the gasifier, being able to take biomass. So looking at a piece of property, how do I maximize the resources for you? So if I came to your house, I'd be looking for energy sources, water sources, and how to use what you already have to cook on, to stay warm, to stay cool, to heat, to cook, to pump water, you name it. So it's a lot of fun.
You make living off grid easy.
Yeah, and enjoyable. I wanted to share. I had a quote. I got it yesterday. Can I share this quote if I can find the quote? This is a guy that we just did a job for, and he goes, "For all the doubters out there, I am currently running a load in the washing machine. I'm running my well pump, heating up water in an electric kettle for French press coffee. I'm watching satellite TV with lights on and typing on my computer over the internet, all on solar, and I have a ton of capacity, and I'm getting hot water via the smart load that you installed. I'm not buying any power from the grid all day. I've got a fire and a fireplace to heat the house. What a life. I'm totally off grid thanks to you, brother. Oh yeah, and I got 2 refrigerators running too." So that's kind of the fun, rewarding part of my job, and that was in Louisiana. They're just completely off grid and loving it.
Read that last line though. Here's the check for $1.7 million.
No, it wasn't like that. So,
oh, it wasn't like that. Okay.
No, but it's actually fun. We have a great group of guys, over 4 of us. We got a team of 4, and we'll go, I won't say anywhere. We go just about anywhere to do this kind of thing. And so just takes a lot of preparation up front, which I love to do. So it's a systems approach. We're not a solar company. We're not a water company. We're a prepper company. I know what you need, I feel, because I know what I need to be able to be self-sufficient at this location or any location. And so it's a challenge. Everyone's custom. Everyone's a challenge to try to, how can I make this place off grid? How can I take advantage of the resources that are there? So it's fun, and we've made mistakes along the way. We've learned, but we continue to learn. Like what you showed on that video. I mean, we've learned so much in the last 10 years. So we have fun sharing it.
Oh, and you did write a book too. Show your book, because I didn't bring it out here. You got it with you?
I do have it. It's here.
Tell them, because the book is like perfect for, I think, new preppers. Would you say?
Yeah, that was the way the publisher said, do not write a nerd book. Don't go into depth on everything, every subject. So it was kind of neat. I'm not, you had a lot of good authors that have written a lot of books. I did not want to write a book. The publisher came to me and said, "We'll pay you to write a book." I'm like, wow. So it was a weird thing. They paid me up front. I wrote the book on this, and I've just, everything that's in here, it's full of pictures too. And mostly of things that I have done that I know that work, and things that we implement. Now, again, this is, I don't remember even the date of it, but it's, we've been, improved a lot since then. So it's a comprehensive book. It covers a lot of subjects, but it doesn't go into super detail. So it's a good book for beginners. James
wants to know, what's the name of the book?
Okay, it's The Practical Prepper's Complete Guide to Disaster Preparedness. I didn't even come up. They wouldn't even let me come up with a title. So they designed it. So The Practical Prepper's Complete Guide to Disaster Preparedness.
Nice.
Anyway, with my William Fortune endorsement.
Oh yeah, William. Yeah. So
it's been fun. I use it as a business card. I hand it out to people, all my customers. I just give them a book. Like you're giving your book away, I give mine away too.
Awesome. So you've been a prepper for some time now. You live on a homestead. You're living exactly what you teach and what you write about. A lot of people don't do that.
Yeah, no, we've been living, we call it, before it was prepping, was homesteading. And like I said, I was just trying to figure things out. I don't golf. I really don't have any hobbies other than this. Prepping it was homesteading, and my water sources were all below in elevation where I actually had my cows and chickens in my house. So how do I get the water down there? From up here? And then I was like, oh, In the 1700s, they invented this mechanical pump that happens to be EMP proof. How do I get the water up here? So I just started implementing some a lot of technologies that were used locally in the United States, meaning they weren't industrialized. So I started moving water the way Americans moved water in the 1800s. And it's just fascinating to me, all the stuff that's been forgotten. So I just started implementing it here, and then hand digging wells, developing springs. So I have multiple wells, multiple springs developed. And then it was just, okay, it's all down there. How do I get it up here? So we started using mechanical pumps, and then got into solar water pumping, which is fascinating too. And so I'm just lifting that water and distributing it, and using sunlight and gravity basically to do amazing things.
Yeah. And without a doubt, you are considered one of the experts in America when it comes to setting up homesteading with water and solar and going off the grid. There are other people, but there's no other engineer 775. Where does 775 come from, by the way?
Did you get my check for paying you to say all that?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah. The engineer, YouTube, my brother lived in Pennsylvania. I lived here. We set up a YouTube channels just to kind of catch up with each other. We had no intention of this. So it was just, so I picked engineer because I'm a mechanical engineer, and I picked engineer. That was taken. Went to engineer 7. That was taken. I went to 7. These are what I consider. I'm a Christian first and foremost. So biblical numbers, 7 is number of completion. And I'm like, oh, they're all taken. And I finally I said, Lord, be merciful. 5's the number of grace and mercy in the Bible. So I picked 775, and nobody had that. So I took it. I know that's kind of weird and boring, but that's how engineer 775 came about. It was the first thing available.
You probably did a spreadsheet.
Exactly. Linear regression analysis, threw in a few integrals, and there you have it.
But you are an expert. You've consulted, and in the Doomsday Prepper, is that really what got you on the map? Really? Before that, you were just Scott.
Yes. It was, yes. It was weird. I got that gasifier. I don't know if you remember the truck I was running on wood. I was running a generator on wood, but nobody understood, and it was boring, and nobody could figured out that I'm actually making electricity off of wood. And so I put the same contraption in the back of an old jalopy pickup truck and drove around on wood, and everybody's like, that's amazing. And so that's at the same time, National Geographic had a casting channel on YouTube, and they were looking for people that were preppers. Right. And we went through the whole thing, and we're like, what should we call the show? And Dave and I really pushed, call it American Preppers, because at the time there was American Pickers and American Choppers, and American Preppers made sense to us, but they wanted to sensationalize the prepper movement and make fun of us. And that's because that makes more money. And so we fought that from the get-go, but we lost that battle. Doomsday Preppers, and that we were following crazy people off the cliff. And so anyway, the negative publicity still was very effective and helped, like you said, get me on the map.
Yeah. Every prepper says, oh man, that show was just bad for preppers. But every single prepper has watched every single Doomsday Preppers. There
were a lot of good preppers on the show. I've talked to a lot of them. There were some that were very talented, very skilled. And of course they threw in crazy ones, and then they would manipulate you shoot 40 hours of film and you have a 10-minute show, you can make people look crazy. So
have they approached you, or anyone approached you about doing maybe another show or something?
There's been a lot of you get a show a week. All these, we want to do Bunker Down, we want to do this History Channel, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, no thank you. Unless you had the control of it and you could really be, if you could do the show the way you would want to do the show, I say no. Because they're not going to pay you. They want to use you. And so, it's just never, you never have control over it. It can't be American Preppers. It can't be wholesome and what, like-minded folks are like in the prepper movement.
People must die that make a good show, right?
Look foolish, or as long as you make fun of somebody, it makes a good show.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I'm just digging.
So we're talking. I mean, this whole week's been about the virus, the coronavirus, and I wanted you're my anchor. You're the cap at the end, because I know you bring 100% every time you go live. I'm making this up as I go. I mean, so what thoughts have you had about this virus, and is it have you made any different plans for the domination of the world plague that's coming?
I mean, I personally, I've changed my plans. I was planning on traveling to New York this coming week, and I've decided not to go because of this. Decided not to travel because of this. It's for my dad's 75th birthday party, and I just like, okay, he's in the target group. He's a older male. That's not why. I mean, could I potentially do something to cause him harm? Traveling, 1,000 miles and staying in hotels, and I'm like. And so I'm just been watching, and I told him I'd play it by ear, and I said, let's let this blow over, and we'll celebrate your birthday later. So I've adjusted plans based on this. I think I'm trying to, practice what I preach, and the CDC says, avoid exposure. I mean, and so in order to be able to avoid exposure, you have to be prepared, and so I'm not going anywhere. I'm trying to. Most of the time I'm working in the woods anyway, so I'm not in Atlanta or Charlotte in urban areas. So I'm out on homesteads and prepper retreats. So I'm in a pretty safe place. So yeah, I've made adjustments, and we're seeing, as you know, every day there's new cases popping up being confirmed. And when you have a 14-day incubation of this thing, nobody knows how many people. The tests aren't out there, so we don't know the status of it. I am not a conspiracy theory guy. I don't focus on the actual thing. I'm like, this is why we prepare. This is just an example, and so I don't focus on coronavirus, though we are doing some things, and we're probably going to talk about that. What should we do? That was the theme of this whole thing. What do we do to protect our families, our loved ones, our group, people that are going to come to be, to live with you, if you're, you know what I mean? So yeah. So yeah, I've made personal adjustments based on this. My wife is a licensed pharmacist, so of course we talk about this a lot from a medical perspective, and we have children that are in college, and so they're spread out across the state, and like they're in cities, and like they're more susceptible. So what happens if our children get sick and they come home, or they're the vectors that are bringing coronavirus? So we have a quarantine room, and this can be something, that might be helpful for any group. Is, do you have a place where you can quarantine someone that is sick, and how do you do that? So that's kind of, you want to talk about this now, or?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Go. So did anybody else cover a quarantine room? Don't know.
We didn't really cover in Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy, because I wanted to cover just the basics, and we got to that, but we didn't go into a lot of detail in it.
Okay, so just basically for us, I'll just tell you what we're doing to have a place in the house or another building where you have a separate living quarters, if you can, a separate bathroom, separate bedroom. And then the other thing is to have something where you can actually, what you see in some of these rooms is to have a negative pressure on that room where no air is coming out of that room. And you might say, oh, how in the world are you going to do that?
Yeah. So I can believe you probably have created that at home.
Well, there people that make bad air conditioners have created that for you and I.
Oh.
So these portable air conditioners that have single hoses, you can just kind of roll them in. They'll put into open your window, and you have it, and then you get this single hose that goes out. Oh, excuse me for coughing. It's always I feel weird coughing on a.
I feel like I'm getting sick from you.
I'm in my quarantine room right now.
Okay.
So those single hose portable units actually pull a negative pressure on the room that they're running in. That's why they're so inefficient. People buy them because they're inexpensive, and they kind of keep you cool. They kind of dehumidify, and some of them even heat pumps. But they actually pull a negative pressure. They pull air out of your attic. They pull air out of underneath the doors. They are pulling air out of the rest of the house and putting it out that window. And that's why it's a kind of a cool thing to put negative pressure on the room that the person is in, because it's going out. No air from what they're breathing is coming in the house. So it's a simple, cheap way to, and some people say put a fan in the room, but you could really this time of year freeze them to death. But you can use a unit to do that. Just put another log on the fire, heat the house up so that they're not freezing, but negative pressure, it can be done.
Hey, I've got a negative pressure room now.
You do.
It's this building, because I do have exactly one of them air conditioners that is very inefficient. That has a hose that goes right out, a little cut a hole in the side of the building, and it sucks all the air out and pushes it outside the building.
So there you have it. And so they're the only time that those things are good and should be purchased is during a pandemic. Because they really don't do a good job in normal everyday life. They fool you to think, but they're doing it. But they're pulling hot air from your attic into that room. That's another story.
You've seen my building. It's a tiny little building. It cools this pretty good. It can cool it. So I got a negative pressure room. That's
there you go. And then
increase my house value, by the way.
What's that?
Does it increase my house value?
And no.
Okay.
Probably not.
Keep going. Didn't mean to mess you up.
No, you're not. So the other things are treating. What are we doing? We're trying to treat the symptoms of whatever it is, like the flu. I think you mentioned on, maybe it was last night, you do not want to go to a hospital. You do not want to go to where people go when they're very sick. You want to be able to, at all costs, if you can, treat yourself at home. So do you have the supplies to do that, to treat every symptom that you're going to have for a bad flu? Can you do that? Can you stay away from other people? So that's part of prepping, having those things. And, just the cough medicine, the DM, the Robitussin, the NyQuils, the everything that it would take to do that. But I do want to share something that I'm not saying this is the cure all, that this product, and I know it's going to come upside down and backwards on here. Some of you might be familiar with this. Can everybody see that? And I call it Acylococcinum, depending on it shows you actually the phonetic pronunciation of the product. So anyway, this is my wife actually worked very hard. She talked to the manufacturers of this. This is a German product, and they sell a ton of it in Germany, and it's to treat flu-like symptoms. And it's been very effective. We've used it for a long, long time. My wife actually brought it into their pharmacy to sell, and sold cases of this stuff because it works. And of course,
what
the
does
FDA.
it do?
It's okay. This is. Can I talk about solar or water? But,
No.
If we're talking about the coronavirus that has flu-like symptoms, see what that says up there? Flu-like symptoms. Okay, we're not talking about Tamiflu where you need a prescription. This you don't need a prescription for. This product is amazing, and it has absolutely no side effects. It's great for children all the way on up. There's no problems with it. So this is the 30-dose family value pack. So it's not going to hurt you, and it might save your life. So this is worth the price of admission right here, I believe. This is something my wife, I wish she would tell more people about it. This is sold by, they just sell this like crazy in Europe, in Germany. So I imagine the Germans have stocked up well on it. And so if you can get your hand, body aches, headache, fever, chills, fatigue, how does it work? I cannot explain the mechanism. And I don't even think my wife as the pharmacist can explain the mechanism of how this works. But it's been used for years and years and years. This was developed, by the way, folks, and let me just, not that I'm not trying to sell this. This stuff was developed in 1918. Does that date mean anything to you? That is when the pandemic of the Spanish flu was out. That's how this was developed. Okay, now the target group then, what were the people that died mostly in the Spanish flu? They were 18 to 35. It's different than coronavirus, which is older people, older men typically now. So it was a different mechanism, different thing. But this product was developed then to fight the Spanish influenza. Okay, and it was very effective. So it's been around for a long time. So we're 100 years later, it's still being sold, it's still being used. FDA doesn't approve it. Who cares? If it works, it's not going to hurt you. There's no side effects. Look at me. I've been using it every day.
Well, okay.
That could be debated. Okay. So But anyway, I just thought I'd share. I wanted my wife to share. She has really helped a lot of people with just flu. You know, as a pharmacist, you spend your whole life talking to and ministering to sick people. And she was always looking for ways to help them. And this has helped a lot of people. Okay. Everybody got that? I don't know, what any comments on that one? Because there's going to be people like, no, that's ridiculous. It's homeopathic. I'm not doing it. I'm like, it's not that expensive and it works. So it's another thing that we add to our preps, and we have quite a bit of it to deal with this. And if there's anybody sick in our group, they're going to get Oscilla.
Okay. So
Okay.
Has your wife or yourself gone out to the grocery store to get a few things?
Sure. Oh, yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, we have our preps. We have, 38 years worth of food, and we're prepping away. I'm just kidding. You must not hear my audio. we
do have beef. You could be counting.
We have fresh beef on the hoof, and I just gave my neighbor a cow on Saturday, so he's not going to come steal my cow because he's got his own cow now. In case he needs to eat him. His name's, I forget, he named him today. Maybe he'll have a hard time shooting him. But anyway, yeah, so we have food preps, and that's the most important, where I have visited thousands of preppers and done lots of consultations, and the most lacking prep for all of them across the board is food. So it doesn't matter about coronavirus. It's just prepping in general. There's not enough calories to take care of all the people that you say you're going to have in your family or in your group or in a rough time. So people typically don't have enough food. So yeah, we've been going to the grocery store and buying things just to, fill in the gaps. We're like, oh, we're low on this, low on that. Go get it. Not panic buying, just taking an inventory. It's like, oh, I didn't realize we were that low on maple syrup. Like you mentioned, not having enough pancake mix the other day. So just not freaking out, not panicking, just getting some of the things that you need, buying some seeds, buying food, buying food, more toilet paper. It's just everything that you already have, but you might be just take this time to re-inventory what you have. So people don't have enough food. And the other thing is they have no way. This one drives me crazy the most. And you'll like this because of the sun oven thing, but most people do not have a way to prepare their food. They buy, whether they go to Jim Baker, Legacy, go wherever they go to buy all this, 7 years of food. And I ask them, how do you prepare this food? It's dehydrated or freeze dried. And they have like a week or 2 weeks worth of fuel in a stove, or and they always get defensive. I'm not trying to make you defensive. I just show me how you are going to convert that dehydrated food product into something that's edible for me or for you in the next, how are you going to do it? It takes a lot of BTUs, a lot of energy, and a lot of water to convert all this stored food. And people typically don't have it. And so they get defensive. And what do they say? They say, I'm just going to start a campfire and I'm going to do that. I'm like, great. If you have to cook food for your 25-member group and you're the one in charge of that, you're going to be sick from carbon monoxide poisoning within a month. You're not used to breathing in smoke, that amount of smoke to produce that amount of food to take care of the group that you're in. So you need something, you mentioned a sun oven, but it has, but I will say, Forrest, it has rained every day in February.
I know.
It's going to be hard to chase. I chased that chicken once trying to kill it, and I got to chase it around with the sun oven trying to cook it. I'm picking on the sun oven's a great product. So we like finding some type of stove that takes care of the carbon monoxide. Stoves that were developed for missionary work. They're gasification stoves. There's all different types, and they work really well. You can can on them. You can cook. You can fry. You can bake. You can do whatever you need to do on a biomass stove. You can go a rocket stove. There's all different styles. So have some way of heating, at a minimum, being able to boil water. And a lot of people don't have that. They have, some propane, some Coleman's. Stuff's not going to last but a week.
Right.
So I'm just a big fan of, you have resources. Most people can get their hands on biomass. Get a stove or stoves that you can cook meals with. I just grew up. I grew up with there was never a house that didn't have a wood cook stove in it. I have a wood cook stove in my house. I sell wood cook stoves. I've never been in. That's just a lifestyle. You know, this device cooks your food, boils your water, dries your clothes, bakes your bread, bakes Thanksgiving turkeys. It does everything, and it's heating your house and heat your water for sanitation. So, you know, it's just normal. That's just something I'd never have a house without one because of how versatile they are, and they don't need any electricity. And it's just a great way. Now, go ahead.
Cuddle up with one.
What's that?
You can even cuddle up with one.
Not too close. You know what I use? Speaking of cuddle up with one, what's great is take a piece of soapstone, a big chunk of soapstone, put it in the oven, and then wrap that up and take that to bed. That'll last 3 or 4 hours. So there's, you know, that I'm serious.
I know you are. I know you are.
Amazing way to go to sleep with if you got warm feet. It's just, you know, people used to have to do that to stay warm. Yep. So, you know, anyway, having a way to cook, having a way to stay warm, something with biomass. Of course, the sun oven is fantastic for pasteurizing water, as you said. I need to get one to a lady in Uganda. And we need to talk about that offline, but they're a great product.
But
anyway,
about the freeze-dried food, a couple of things about the freeze-dried food.
Yeah.
If you guys, the preppers that are listening or homesteaders, if you think that you can just break open your freeze-dried food and start eating and life is going to be normal, I mean, I think Legacy is one of the best. You can't see it now, but it's right here behind me. I think it's one of the best. It tastes great. No GMO, everything that you would want. But after you eat that for a couple of days and the amount of water you're going to use to hydrate that, you've got to have other resources. And a lot of people are going to be taken off guard by not having enough water. And not, like you said, you've got to boil the water. A lot of the food is, a lot of the Legacy is different than other food. Legacy, you bring it to a boil, you mix the food in there, and you let it simmer for a while. I know with Mountain House, you bring it to a boil and just pour it in there, and it does it. But Legacies are bigger meals, and they want the food to actually cook while it's boiling a little bit. It's a little different, but it takes a lot of energy and a lot of wood to do that every single day. If you're building this on a campfire, well, I can't imagine. The normal person has a house with a stove, and they may have a rocket stove. I guess that would be the best, efficient thing to use on a daily basis. But I am one. The reason I like the sun oven is at our retreat, we have not only light discipline, we have sound discipline, and we have smell discipline. And that's why there's nothing going to be cooked on our retreat. And I know this is we're getting deep in the wood. I'm getting deep in the woods here, but we're only going to heat water. That's all we're going to do. No cooking for the first 6 months. If we had to go bug out, which we don't see bugging out for this, but you got to have the resources and a stove. Yeah, but them stoves, I've seen that one in your house. It has to cost what, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000.
The cool thing when I bought that stove, I bought it out of Ontario, and the exchange rate was so awesome. I paid $1,200 for my wood cook stove, and so it was the deal of this. I mean, it's awesome. They're not like that now. A Pioneer Princess costs about $3,000.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but you don't need to buy a full blown. A lot of people don't have the room to put a big giant wood cook stove in their house. So you either can design a summer kitchen someplace for it to go, so you can on it and use it, or go to the smaller stoves. The nice thing when you talk about smoke, there's no smoke.
Okay.
If you use a gasification type stove, like a top lit updraft gasifier, downdraft gasifier stove, like a Hunter Silver Fire product, you don't have any smoke. There's no smoke, problems there. There's nobody seeing any smoke coming up from your house. So, and the other thing, a lot of people have fireplaces and things that they don't use, or they have propane logs in them. That stuff can be removed. You can take these small rocket stoves and actually put them in your fireplace and cook there. You can cook inside your house. So a lot of the smell discipline is taken care of. It's not just outside where everybody can smell it. So there's a lot of things you can do to be smart with the sight, smell, sound disciplines when it comes to cooking.
I never thought about putting a rocket stove. I guess any
of the exhaust is going to go up.
Right.
Yeah. You can take there's a lot of small stoves that you can buy, Vogelzangs, and just small stoves that you could actually get a pipe and put it inside your fireplace. So you have something that actually produces heat. Like your fireplace is kind of worthless. The stove can radiate that heat, and you can cook on it and take care of your, but get that carbon monoxide, get that exhaust out. And if it's a gasification type stove, you're not going to have any smoke for anybody to see.
Okay. So what other kind of things are the Hunts doing on their homestead to get ready for the virus or the pandemic or the, a severe flu season? I'm not saying this is the flu, but
right. But we're treating it. We don't know. So we're treating it like it is the flu. How would we treat flu symptoms? So in the medical arena, that's my wife, of course, she's the medical officer. So I just, whatever you say, yes, dear, I'm going to get this, get that. And she's way ahead of the game. She stays up on these things. She really pays attention. And I'm looking at it too, watching the news and just seeing what is the transmission rate here? It seems to be a lot higher than regular flu.
Right.
And, how do you lower the transmission rate of a disease? You have to get it has to be below 1 to be killed, to stop. So,
right.
So it's sheltering in place. So I'm even though I'm fortunate I'm not working in a city hardly ever for what I do. So I'm not around a lot of people. I don't have to be. I also can telecommute if people can stay home and do their work. So I'm actually talking and emailing more, and I've been home more, and I'm like, this is thankful to be home more, that I'm not traveling. So I'm trying not to travel. I'm trying to just stay home. But my kids are out there. They're going to be the vectors that bring coronavirus to my life. So our focus has been on this quarantine room. If somebody comes here and they're sick, and that's how we're going to deal with it. I mean, you mentioned, what was it mentioned the other day? The water, using granular pool shock to make
right. Mm-hmm.
Right. And I did write that down. I don't know if you want me to talk about that at all.
Yes, absolutely.
Because a lot of times I've bought a lot of granular pool shock, and it's not the stuff, the bromides or the stuff that can kill you. It's not all pool shock is created equal, right? You want the granular calcium hypochlorite, and they keep upping it up to almost 75% strength now. So you find stuff like brand name HTH from 68% up to 73, 75%. And so I'm going to just say this, I made sure, we've done this, and so anyway, you can do your own research. You take 1 level teaspoon of the calcium hypochlorite and you mix it with 1 gallon. So it's 1 level teaspoon, 1 gallon of water. This is a 2-part deal. You mix that thoroughly and let it stand for at least 30 minutes. So part 1 is to take 1 level teaspoon of granular pool shock, add it to 1 gallon of water. Now you have your solution. Now I'm going to treat this other water source so I can kill everything in it that's going to kill me. And so then I take 2 level tablespoons of this solution and I add it to 100 ounces or 3/4 of a gallon of untreated water, and I let that sit for an hour. And then a lot of people say, if you have 2 containers, go back and forth between the containers to kind of let this thing aerate to get rid of the nasty chlorine smell. Or if you have a carbon filter of some sort, of Berkey or something like that, then you can pour that through there and deal with it. Obviously, you can filter your water, but that was brought up the other day on one of the classes, right? You were talking about one of the sessions. Mm-hmm. And so it's this simple 2-part type solution. So you're making a calcium hypochlorite versus a sodium, which is Clorox, that, as you mentioned, loses its strength after a period of time. So granular pool shock, I buy it because I have a pool. The only reason I have a pool is because I'm a prepper. I hate my pool. I mean, it's always a constant maintenance and nobody's using it anymore, but I use it for firefighting. I got a great source of water for firefighting. I can take that water and I can drink that water after I filter it. I have granular pool shock on hand that I can treat. 1 pound bag treats how much water? 1 pound bag treats 10,000 gallons of water. If you went and tested city water, municipal water with pool water, they're pretty much going to show up the same color on your litmus strips. It's scary how strong the pool is compared to what people are drinking. So yeah, that calcium, it's the cheapest way to take care of the most people water-wise is having pool shock. And having a filter, what's the problem with killing everything that was going to kill me in that water source and then running it through a filter? Whether it's a Berkey, a Dalton, a whatever, Lifesaver, you know, there's a million of those, you know, so, you know, there's just tons of them. So that was the other thing I know we talked about, you had on this show, but you didn't really cover it. So I wanted to bring that up. And then a lot of people are thinking that, you know, the warm weather's coming, that the virus is going to go away. I keep hearing this, hoping for summer. But guess what? They have a lot of cases in Sydney, Australia. It is the end of summer. It was 79 degrees in Sydney today, I think. I mean, the heat is not stopping corona. So a lot of people are saying that. I don't know where they're getting that from.
Same with Malaysia, Singapore. It's summer over there. Yeah. Right.
Exactly. And it's not helping corona in any way. So people are just like, oh, it's summer's coming. It'll go away.
Even Donald Trump said that.
Did he say that?
Yeah. He said, well, when the summer comes, it will, you know, it'll do like all flus and die down. They just didn't tell me.
That's an old wives' tale, because that's not what we're seeing with cases around the world. So it's summer over there. You know, the people that have Christmas and they have their Christmas cards are on the beach. They're in Australia. It's so anyway. I just wanted to bring that up. So I'm not a medical expert. My thing is helping people, helping their group, allowing you to stay where you need to stay, and that is away from people during a period of time as long as you can. I'm not freaking out about it. I know people work in hospitals in the middle of the city. They have to. But if you don't have to, why add to the problem? So we can we can educate people to help people minimize the problem of coronavirus by just staying away. It'll help the whole herd, if that makes sense.
Right. Yep. So staying in, I mean, the N95 mask, which everyone has been trying to get, and some of them they think they're going to die now because they don't have one. And I've literally had friends ask me, hey, can I have some N95 masks? And you can prevent ever having to use one by not going out. But the problem is if someone gets sick within your community or within your group. You got any suggestions? I know the negative pressure room you're talking about, but
yeah, I mean, my wife thinks that the patient should wear the mask and not the, you know, and then the masks are as good as, you know, I probably touched my face 5 times talking to you. You make me nervous or something. I don't know what it is. So the people that wear masks, I know I do when I have a N95 mask, I touch my face more. So there's that argument that I'm introducing things onto my face that I wouldn't normally do if I didn't have the mask on. So, you know, of course, wash your hands. You know, so this is like, you know what this is, as you know, we preach these things over and over. It's like sharing the gospel, like sharing Jesus Christ with somebody. We share prepping. You know, some people believe, some people don't, but we don't stop doing it. So I think it's the same way. And you're very thankful when people wake up and see that, you know. I think this is a wake up call. I don't know if we can go off on this at all, but you know, we know that there will be a lot of people that die at some period in human history from beasts. If you look up Revelation 6:8, you see a quarter of the population is killed. Okay. What's the population today? 7.75 billion people, a quarter of that, 1.9 billion people. That's not going to happen through weaponry. That's going to happen due to these diminutive beasts. If you look up the word for the fourth beast in Revelation, the fourth horseman, you see these beasts. So is it a wake-up call? You know, I don't know. So
let me start this with
you're not going to let me preach about that, are you?
No.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
I want to start this with a question because, Scott, you are a pastor.
I am not. I was a pastor for 10 years. I'm a
You were,
teacher. I've been a Christian for 26 years.
and it's a big part of everything you do is your faith. And same with me. I try not to hold back, but everyone says I hold back too much. But tell us about your faith and the position you have and the consulting, your book, how all that comes together. I mean, are you on a mission from God to save the world?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel I have. It's hard. Moses had three parts to his life. In 40 groups of 40 years, and I'm like, okay, I kind of joke, said, well, I was an engineer for 10 years. I've been a pastor for 10 years, and now I'm on this 10 years of prepping. And so it's kind of like everything that I've learned, I'm applying to what I do now. To help people. I am not trying to get people to be able to survive the apocalypse. I don't believe that. We've talked about that. I think that's ridiculous. I've taught Revelation 5 times. You can't survive wormwood falling on your head. You're not going to survive. I mean, I can go through if you have a quarter of the people being killed in Revelation 6 and you have a third in Revelation 9, if you take a quarter of the population and a third of the population and you do the math, guess what that is? That's a half of the population. That's 3.875 billion people are not here anymore. Something's going to happen. So there is judgment coming on a Christ rejecting world. I'm not trying to preach fear. These are the numbers. This is what we see in the Bible. Okay. Whatever your eschatology is, there's still, when it says a third part of men die and a quarter of the people die, it's a horrible time. So how far, what do we, this is a huge subject. This is my favorite thing to talk about in the world. You think I like to talk about solar and prepping and water, but the Word of God is my favorite subject.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Being a Christian, and I'm a Christian, I wrote a book about
Christians and prepping.
About having faith, and it's more than just trusting God. You've got to be obedient because we know hard times are coming, even before everyone dies or the population dies. It's going to get tough in the world for us, and we need to be prepared for it. That's kind of the purpose of the book, and I use all Old Testament. I didn't do any Revelation or Daniel or Ezekiel.
Oh man, you left out the good stuff.
I know. Well, I didn't want it to be controversial.
It's not controversial. It's called the Bible. It's the truth. So
yeah.
All 31,102 verses are God's word. We give it all out. So it's exciting. But the Bible says to die is to gain. So I recalibrate myself sometimes. You started off with we're not given a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. You've reminded thousands of people that this week, thousands and thousands of people you've reminded, and Christians that get fearful, they don't need to be. That is not from the Lord. And that's great.
Yes.
And we also need to be reminded that, hey, when we are not, if you are a Christian today, we are aliens here. This is not our home. We want to, we're really worried about Bernie and Biden and, but God is in control.
Right. To
die is to gain. We're going to be with Jesus. So yeah, we need to be obedient while we're here. But we're to live more. What's more important is God pleased with our lives, and what pleases him is a life of faith. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. That's the simplicity. The gospel is simple: the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. If you believe in the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, you shall be saved. And then I live a life of faith. And without faith, I cannot please God. We were created for his pleasure. It's real simple. It's just we are real stubborn. And men love darkness more than light. And that's just the way it is. I mean, I did. And I didn't get saved till I was 26 years old. And I fought with Christians my whole life before. I mean, I just literally detested anybody that was a Christian. It's the way I was raised. It's all I knew. And the Lord broke me good. And I was so thankful. And so it's about grace to me. It's not about keeping anything, laws and things. It's a life of grace. It's a life of faith. And we have the privilege to share it. So I share prepping. I share Jesus. and I have fun doing it. Not everybody believes or accepts that, but that's not my responsibility. Our responsibility is to do what? Go and tell.
So
Go
what do
and
you
tell
say
the
when
message.
people go, well, is prepping a lack of faith in your
Some people, they think it is. You
Yeah.
know, the prudent, you probably use the verse, the prudent man sees the dangers up ahead and prepares himself.
Right.
You used the New Testament verse. You said you only use Old Testament. You said the person that doesn't provide for his family is worse than a infidel or worse than a lost person. That's New Testament.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's, you know, Jesus is
Call me out, man.
I got you. Hey, you know, Jesus has gone to prepare a place for us. He's the ultimate prepper.
Right.
Right. So he said, be watching, be ready. I mean, there's a spirit level of spiritual readiness. I'm excited. My hope is not in my solar system. My hope, my blessed hope is in Jesus Christ returning for his church.
So I remember I did a podcast and you were on it, and a young gentleman was driving his car and he listened to our podcast. And I made the statement, you were talking just like this, and I made a statement, hey, you can prepare all your life and extend your life, but it doesn't control where you're going to go at all. All the preps in the world doesn't control where you're going to go. So preparing to just extend your life, whoopee-doo, big deal, it's in vain. And this young man heard me and you talking. And you remember I introduced you to him at camp because he went home, he accepted Christ. I think he said he pulled off side of the road as he was listening to the podcast and accepted the Lord. You remember me introducing you to that?
Yeah, you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, native.
Native, yeah. Well, praise the Lord.
And then his wife. And so it's, I mean, the gospel changes lives. The gospel can save you. Preps can extend your life, and that's it.
They can, they extend your life. We're called on one hand to be, and it's like Paul saying, I want to be with Jesus, but I want to be here too. That constant stress and pressure we have within us as Christians. We want to be with God, but we want to be here too. We have work to do as long as we're here. And if we're prepping, we can help people like none others in a difficult time because we're not freaking out. We're here to prepare and help people. And then that can lead into a talk on Christian charity. You know, if you're not charitable now, you're not going to be in a difficult time.
Right.
It's just not human nature. It's not going to happen. So, you know, that's part of preps. And this one's hard. Corona's hard because it's not, you know, we talked about so many other scenarios. This is the most difficult one. Can be the most devastating one, the most destructive one, just in sheer numbers, as we mentioned in Revelation, of what these tiny beasts, the viruses that can take people out by huge numbers. So it's, but that's about as far as I can go on the medical side. I mean, nobody knows. I mean, there's a lot of people out there saying, you know, this is a bunch of nonsense, and I hope they're right. I really hope they're right. But the transmission rate seems much higher than flu. And they say 2.4 compared to 1.5. I don't know the statistics are changing every day as more people.
Well, we're just now getting statistics from not China. You know what I mean? Yeah. We just need to take the China statistics, throw them away, and start looking at countries with like Japan, Singapore, Australia, people that have a normal or a decent healthcare system. Now, because if you look at the statistics right now in America, it stinks. We've had 9 people die, and quickly 100 people have got it. And that's because they're all old.
Seemingly in a short period of time. I mean, you take the one of the head leaders of Iran. It's Iran, and they don't have our healthcare, but you better believe he received the best healthcare that country had to offer.
Yes,
he had the resources. They would have tried to keep him alive, and so nobody really seemingly knows the mechanism. It doesn't seem to be like the Spanish flu, but
kids aren't dying either, which is crazy.
Yeah, praise the Lord. But you look at the statistics on normal flu, you don't have, and my wife and I argue about this, but you have 30,000 people die of influenza. I forgot the numbers for this last year, and you had like 125 children. It's very skewed. It's like 0.006% were children. So it's heavy on older people.
Mhm.
So I don't know. A lot of people are saying that children are the vector, which is kind of weird, that they're the carriers and they're not
Right.
getting sick, right? You've heard that. So so I just say stay home, do the normal things about prepping. So I'm not focused on corona. The only thing I'm doing differently from coronavirus than I would do for EMP or any other scenario we might be talking about on a podcast is this. For us, it's this quarantine room. How do we treat the symptoms? And how, as you said, and you've been saying it all along, it's like, whatever you do what you can to treat yourself and not go to a hospital for treatment unless there's just no other way around it. Why would you do that to yourself or your loved ones?
And that is the key. And I've been telling people, hey, work with your employer now to get set up so you can work from home.
Absolutely. I'm working from home. Yes, work from home if you can. I talked to my sister owns 2 restaurants. She deals with lots of people. She's kind of like, oh man, this could really hurt people business wise. And so we had a little discussion like, you really need to get the ability to change your business model right now so that Americans don't cook. They don't have food in their pantries. They're still looking for that. So I said, why don't you come up with a service where you're getting them the food. They would love to just be able to come and get it, not come in contact with anybody, but still get that food. And you still get paid and you still don't, your business isn't hurting, but they would be so happy to have that food because they haven't prepped and they still need to eat. So maybe, there's a lot of things to think through on how to do business just a little bit differently. You don't have to throw up your hand and say, I'm done, I'm going bankrupt. No, you can do a lot. So it was interesting talk because some people are in very public type jobs and
they can't help. I mean, if you're a construction worker, you've got to kind of go to work. But if you're an office worker, there's ways that you could possibly work with your corporation, your company, get on the VPN, get on the corporate email, and you could possibly work from home. There's a difference. There's a huge difference in staying at home and working from home. Staying at home, you don't get paid.
Exactly. There's a huge difference. And this is kind of because a lot of employers don't like to do that, but this might force some of them to do that. And they might find out, hey, this works pretty good.
Right.
That I still, as a company, I still can be productive by having my folks, I've got a couple that I hired this year and I never see them. We just had one meeting. I haven't seen them in 2 months and they want to be missionaries and I was like, and they're like, you think we could do this? I was like, I haven't seen you in 2 months and you're doing everything that I need you to do. Everything. You're taking care of everything I need you to do. And I don't even see you. I said, yes, of course you can go be a missionary anywhere you want to in the world today. If you have an internet connection, go for it. And we'll still pay you to do the same thing. It's kind of exciting in the world. We have so many more options in the world today. So
I have a virtual assistant. I've met her one time and she does all kinds of work for me and for Son Oven. And
you don't see them. So just copy that, do the same thing, just, cancel. If you got family members, they're going to get on planes, why if it's non-essential travel, you can call me Chicken Little, call me whatever you want. Just if it's not essential travel, why would you put yourself in an airplane? You know what it's like. I mean, I don't mind flying. I do if it's during this time. I'm not going to fly just because I'm in a petri dish with everybody's viruses being blown on me. That's just, that cabin is, so,
I drive to Chicago because Son Oven is in Chicago and I drive because I'm not afraid of flying. I flew for 4 years in the United States Air Force. I've sat on the tailgate of a C-130 with my legs dangling like this as we're flying over the ocean. I'm not afraid of flying, but I just don't like being a cattle herded onto a plane and you're kind of, I don't know. I just don't like it. So I drive 12 hours when I go to Chicago and I love it. I listen to books. I get more done on the phone. And so then I stay in my little hotel, which I clean. And, I make the best. I try to make the best of it.
You make the best of it. It's a great time. I have a job on the Canadian border. It takes me 16 hours to get there from my house. And I've driven it straight. Now it's stupid. I get there totally wiped out, But I listen to, like I said, podcasts and audiobooks and talk to people I've not talked to in years and catch up with stuff. It's my mobile office. It's great if you just plan on it. Of course it takes longer, but not really after you do. You know what it's like flying commercial. And so, yeah, just adjust your life, work from home if you can.
Hey, you could watch every video Scott has ever produced.
Absolutely. You'll sleep a lot because they're so boring. You will go out. I tell people, just watch my channel. If you have problems, there's a lot of people that have problems sleeping in the world today. My channel is the solution.
Do you need a pocket protector though, before you can watch?
Yes, and a slide rule. I'm not that nerdy on there. So
no,
and my videos are, our video, we're doing jobs for people, for groups, and we have a deadline. So I know they're bad sometimes. Just like, I got to film that. I forgot to film that. We're not there as a film crew. We're there as a work crew. And then we, because a lot of times people want to know how to build this themselves. So can't please everybody. Everybody says too long, too short, too shaky, horrible video, too loud.
Oh my gosh.
So
every video I've posted of this series, there's been one person or two people go, information starts at 8,
at 7 minutes.
Yeah, at 7 minutes and 36 seconds. And I'm like, you know what? This video is not for you. Seriously, it's not for you.
Fast forward on Forrest.
I know, and exactly. I'm like, wait a second. Yeah, I even I didn't put makeup on. So
there's a comment. What is I don't even know this word. This person's vocabulary is way above mine. Soporific. Soporific.
Oh,
I don't even know what that means.
I don't either. Scott, yeah. That's what you are though.
Whatever it means.
Whatever it means. So
I think it means he's really fat.
No, I don't know.
Sleep inducer. Oh, I'm so terrific. I put people to sleep.
I've fallen asleep 3 times since this interview. So
sorry, folks. You made me do it. So,
do you have a group? I know
Yeah, we could talk about groups.
Yeah, you have a group. So what's your group thinking right now? Are y'all gonna
one of the group, I'll just say, we had one of the group members came over yesterday and got some food. They don't live here, but the supplies are staged and things like that. So they actually got some food. Like you just said, we talked about this before. You have some of your food from your retreat and you brought it home. That was what's that?
Where's my retreat?
I have no idea. You told me, but I'm not going to tell it publicly.
Miami, Florida.
Oh yeah, yes. I almost said I almost said where.
No, you know where it is.
Undisclosed location. You've seen
undisclosed. Okay.
So yeah, we had a guy from our group come get some of his supplies for food. So because this is a different animal, this is coronavirus. So he felt it was prudent for him and his family to have some of his supplies back at his house. So yeah, we've had, there's a lot of group drama in our area. I hear about it from customers. So there's groups that form and break up and dismantle and reform in other groups. And there seems to be a lot of groups. That's great. But they're, so I'm kind of gun shy a little bit. I just, it's hard to vet some folks. You spend a lot of time and then they don't turn out the way you want them to. I know you're kind of fortunate. You've had a group with people for 19 years. I feel that our neighborhood will pull together. I feel like I'm friends with a lot of my neighbors, and if things got bad, we just had horrible flooding in our area, like crazy rain. It took out a bridge that's not even a mile from my house. Just to see that bridge taken out has completely changed the dynamics of travel in our neighborhood. So it just made me think, hey, it's like, okay, this is what happens. If you're able to stop this bridge or take this out or deal with this road, you have a neighborhood that's going to have to work together. So in a lot of places, the neighborhood's going to be the group. I know some people hate their neighbors or in battles with their neighbors. The worst thing that people can ever, I've been in here to neighbor 20 some years, and that I know of. I mean, it's not wise to make enemies of your neighbors.
Well, no one makes enemies with the preacher man. I mean, come on.
They might. I mean, I got people here that don't believe in Jesus. They don't like me because of that. They don't want me knocking on their door preaching at them.
Preacher man prepper, you
Get
don't
out of here. They say get out of here. So
but groups are important, community is important.
Groups are important. Preppers are not survivalists. They're not lone rangers. They're not taking care of themselves, living in the mountains and by themselves. You know, they've got families, extended families, and they've got friends, and there's the the multitude of skill sets. You had people from the AMRAAM guy to John Jacob to Culper and all the the military guy. They have their skill sets. I don't have that skill set.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can learn from them, but I'm not going to be as good as them. So I've got my thing. I need guys and ladies that are skilled in other areas. So yeah, groups are very, very important. And there's the groups are great. There's CrossFit groups. These people are close knit people, right? There's church Bible study groups. Then there are prepper groups that are really close knit and they share and they have fun. But I've seen a lot of my group's not where I want it to be. I'll admit that.
Well, I feel like I'm a counselor for groups.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely
not a consultant sometimes, but a counselor.
You definitely promote it and try to help people through that. I mean, a group needs that kind of person. Each group needs that kind of person that handles the dynamics that come up in the group. And that person, they might not be able to change a tire on a vehicle, but they handle the dynamics that are going on. Because that guy, like you have in your group, you have a guy in your group that's not good with people, right? And we all, but how important that guy is to the health and the well-being of that group. So the person that keeps everything kind of moving smoothly and doesn't get in a fight with, that's the most important person. He could actually have zero skills, but he's able to be that people person and keep everything going. He's the MVP of the group.
Yeah, I have that one guy that I'm actually afraid of him more than anyone else that would come up to my property. Anyway, what are you going to do about this, Scott? This is the question. I'm glad I can call you by your real name, by the way.
Yeah.
Because all these other people that have been on, it's been somewhat sketchy when I talk to people, because a lot of them have aliases, and I'm like, you just get straight. So what are you going to do when the multitudes, or look at this guy.
I'm sorry, I got distracted by the comments. What's the question?
Like when 10 people come up to your gate, because you're all giving, you're a pastor.
No, I'm not.
What are you going to do about these people?
I said, more protein. No, I'm just kidding. That's the standard. Just trying to get your reaction. Christian charity is not done at the door. We've talked about this. I've got a chat in the book. You just don't, your security is non-existent if people are coming up to your door asking for food. If you're not charitable now, you're not going to be in a difficult time. Do you have a place where you can give food, water, clothing, medical supplies, totally away off of your property? That's the only way you should do. That's the only way you should do it. Otherwise, you're being cased. I mean, how many people read Patriots? Wasn't that happening all the time? The bad guys, the marauders, sent the poor defenseless little girl up to the house to figure out, they do have supplies. We're coming back and we're going to take them. So yeah, I don't. There's people, and there's a guy, and he's not. People bring people to my house, and I'm like, don't ever do that. Don't do that. You're just the guys, and I'm watching them. They're casing the place. Don't do that. And I said to him, he's like, what do you bring? Why do you keep bringing people to me that I'm going to have to deal with?
Right.
What do you mean? I'm like, what I mean? You're not thinking.
Yeah. I'm going to have to kill him now that you brought him. Yeah.
Right. And I say that jokingly, but mathematically it doesn't work out.
Right.
Am I going to take food out of my son's mouth and put it in that kind of thing? So I am called to take care, as you said before, take care of your family.
Mm-hmm.
I can't feed the world. The poor will always be with us. I can only do so much. Do it till it hurts, but don't do it at your house.
The crazy thing is, Scott, man, I'm ready for EMP. I mean, I've got a Faraday cage.
Right.
We've got radio. Well, we've got radios and Faraday boxes. I'm just saying, I was always preparing for financial collapse, EMP.
Yeah, you're never right. That's why I say I am never preparing for a scenario like COVID-19. I'm not.
Right. Never thought about it.
If you spend all of your time trying to, a scenario like I always thought EMP to be the absolute worst, but maybe COVID-19 is worse. Just prepare, spend your energy to how do you mitigate that fear is first a relationship with God, secondly with do something as opposed to read the conspiracies and get all bent out of shape. So we don't know the scenario. We don't know the scenario. I think for me, prepping is a lifestyle. It's a business. I'm kind of spoiled that way. This is what I do. I don't know anything else right now. This is what I've done for 10 years and try to show people this is a cool way to live. This is a responsible way to live. And it's rewarding and customers see it and they're like, yeah, this is great. This works. It's great when it works. When it doesn't work, it's a bad day.
Yeah. I got to come up with a way to make money in this, I guess.
It's not about,
it's not about the money, but
you're built well. That's another whole subject. But you're building this incredible network. I mean, there's value there. I mean, we're capitalists. We have to take care of our families, and we take care of other. Right? What are we doing? I mean, people say, "Oh, you're just marketing and taking advantage." It's like, no, you're supposed to take care of at a minimum, take care of your family, but take care of others.
Yeah,
that's what we're called to do.
What I'm doing, it costs more
than radios. You're wasting your time. I'm just looking at these camp.
Oh, okay. You can. Are you reading the comments?
Yeah, there's comments. If you don't have radios, you're wasting your time. I mean, everybody's got opinions.
Yeah.
I mean, the comms are a huge part of that of prepping. So we didn't cover all the subjects of prepping. I'm not the expert on all subjects. You've had experts on subjects,
right?
And so
you're the expert on water, solar, and Jesus.
Well, thank you. Well, praise the Lord. Nobody's an expert on Jesus, but we're all working out our salvation with fear and trembling.
Well, you're close. I mean, you do know the Bible, except Revelation. You just really have not read that properly.
At least you didn't say Revelation.
I'm not going to get into that because you're the one that actually went there. You're like, I'm not going to get in the argument with you about about the end times, and I'm like, okay, and I didn't even bring it up, and you brought it up first thing.
It's a wonderful thing to sharpen iron, but sometimes you got to call people out for things that aren't biblical.
Yeah, God hasn't revealed everything to you, and I apologize.
No.
Okay.
All right. What else?
What else? We covered, many different things. Groups.
I'm the only guy. You had two. Why did you single me out? Why did you not? I didn't have anybody else. You're saying I don't play well with others?
No. I'll be quite honest. I knew that me and you would talk about the Bible and Jesus and God like no other. Not that the other people aren't. What is that? Don't cough on me. Oh, don't on me. I've seen that with don't cough on me. So, and I knew that we would have a conversation about, God, because that's important to both of us. Not that it's not to the other people by no means, but and
if there's anybody on here, I would love to talk to you. You can email me, YouTube me, whatever. I'd love to talk to you about Jesus first and prepping second.
Well, I did ask one to come on with you, but he said no. He was too busy.
Oh, somebody other. Oh, gotcha.
You remember who that was?
Don't name names.
Huh?
Don't name names.
Yeah, and Donald Trump was busy. So
that would have been you.
What you've watched a lot of these because I've been, and I appreciate you getting on. What have we not covered? We've covered radio.
There's a lot of subjects. I don't want to bore people. If people, again, to shelter in place requires a lot of effort. It requires a lot of effort. But I don't want people, a lot of people look at my stuff and say, oh, I can't afford you. I can't afford this. There's simple things that can be done. You need water and food. I just keep preaching water and food, and some shelter. And you're farther ahead than 95% of people on the planet.
Mm.
You have water and food to make it 3 months per se. Just pick a period of time. I always say pick a period of time and prep for that. No matter what your budget is, you got to be able to do that. And then, though I can't do that, it's like, but I challenge the dad, the husband, you have to do that. You should be doing that to take care of your family. So pick a period of time, do what you can. You don't need the latest EMP hardened solar inverter with mega lithium, whatever battery. You need a way to get clean water, stay clean, stay warm, stay cool when you need to, fresh air, fresh water, rest, sanitation,
and buy food that you normally eat right now.
Absolutely.
Don't go out and buy freeze-dried Legacy or you don't need to do that now. Do that after this is passed, because you do need that.
What I've been doing, my son's we've been doing this thing. I don't know if you can see this on, one of these things, the brake bleeders. We've been canning just dry stuff that you.
Yes, it's on a jar.
I mean, it's just a simple thing. It's like, I'm sorry, you can't really see it on the video, but this, my kids have cats. We have cats, and they're, sorry, but to be able to take care of them, do we have enough cat food? So my wife and my kids have been canning cat food to have 3 or 4 months worth of cat food. The cat food is gone in our local store. It's just like the shelves are cleaned out. Not from us. It's gone. So anyway, it's there's a lot of stuff. No, get what you normally eat. Just get what you normally eat. Get some more of that. But a lot of people don't have enough. They just don't have the food or the way to prepare it using a sun oven, some sort of stove. And I've seen some amazing food pantries just absolutely blow you away. People have worked so hard at it, and so they're really good. We're all out of balance in some aspect of preparedness. That's why you emphasize the group, because that group's going to bring balance to that. There's a lot of the weapons guys, they're heavy on tactical maneuver and everything, and they don't have anything to eat, and then they just get defensive. We're just going to go get what we need. Like, okay, whatever. So yeah, get what you like, get what you'll normally eat, and store it up.
See, and I'm kind of lazy. I want more people. What's the saying that more hands make light work or something?
Yeah. I'm like, but yeah, I go sometimes the other way, because I know people are also problems. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to get more Dakota alerts, because I don't have to feed that sensor that's 3 miles away from my house. That's letting me know somebody turned down my road.
That's funny that you say that. I've got them around my shed here.
Yeah, I mean,
when I'm sitting here and they go off, it scares the living crap out of me. It's like an animal or something.
But that technology is very, very helpful to have as many eyes and ears and to have a security perimeter, and you don't have to feed it other than batteries that are rechargeable that can be recharged on your solar. So, yeah, I mean, nobody has this figured out, but enjoy life. Enjoy preparedness, feeling responsible. I've had so many people that have been so fearful start doing something, and then the fear is gone, because they finally stop listening to Alex Jones or to Forrest Garvin, to whatever that comes up, and they start prepping.
Yep.
He didn't catch that.
Yeah, I did. I'm going to post a link in there now, so everyone can go and watch you on Doomsday Preppers when you were 18 years old. So. I posted it in there so you guys can go watch that video. You and SP1 Southern Prepper 1 was in there.
Yeah.
Yep. So
that was the pilot. We were the pilot.
Oh, okay.
That was the pilot that was pitched to all the networks, and then National Geographic picked it up. Nat Geo picked it up, and then we said, you guys don't know anything. You're a bunch of city folk, and you're scoring us. You don't know anything. You don't even know what a fence post is. So we said, hey, can we be the evaluators going forward? That's how that all began. We just asked them, could we evaluate the preppers that come on? So that's how that started.
Yeah, and how many people were arrested from that show? Don't you remember that guy? He was a felon and he had guns on the show.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
there was when they got hard up in the casting, and then it got worse.
It got worse. It started bad with you and Southern Prepper 1. Got better, then it got worse.
Yes.
It's that bell curve thing, I guess.
Dave and I had, I mean, I thought we did pretty good on the show. I mean, we thought we tried to be not crazy, but balanced, but they tried to make us look crazy.
TV can't even do that.
Prepping gives me peace of mind, calming. So there's people on here saying they're agreeing with that. I mean, do something. Don't be fearful.
Yeah, what kind of questions y'all got? Ask a question in there. We'll ask a question and then we'll end this in a little bit. But yeah, ask out a question. We never did that. The whole thing. I should have done that, and that's a big complaint people have had.
What's about not answering people's questions?
Yeah.
Well, then that's our fault.
Yeah, it's a little delayed. They'll ask some questions. I'm sure your wife's in there. She might ask a question or two.
There's like contact, website, that kind of info, which I'll do at the end, I'm assuming.
Yep.
It'll give me a chance to do so.
But, your wife's saying we have an online store. Marketing, one-on-one. Right there.
Shameless, my wife. She's putting out, So she has been, my wife's a licensed pharmacist, and now we work together. That has been interesting. She just goes for it. She has been so helpful. I'm out working, and I would miss so many. I made so many people mad because I wouldn't answer. I'm not answering emails and phone calls, and my phone's full. But she has really helped, and I think she likes being home.
Someone asked, "What kind of radios do you use?" You know what?
Here's the cheapos that keep coming down. The Baofengs are as cheap as you can get. Okay, yep. I use these, and I got Oshings in the back. I know there's a lot of other radios, but my big thing is, do they work with my MERS transmitters? Do they work with the Dakota alerts? And so what I love about these things, they're fully programmable. So I have everything. I've got multiple counties worth of information in here for EMS. Of course, I'm not transmitting on it. I'm not a comms expert, but I love these things. I use these for, these are great to have if you're traveling with a group of people on the road and be able to talk using these. We use these at work because I'm in a crawl space and I need to pull wire, and the guy that's on the other end is 300 feet away. So we just used these on a job 2 weeks ago to do work. They're just awesome to get used to using a radio. So practice with them now, so they're just second nature when you need them in a difficult time. So I don't care what radio you have. You can't beat the Baofeng. I mean, there is another one out there, maybe there's some other brand. Yeah, somebody's mentioning Chirp in there to be able to program them. That's fine. There's several different ways to program.
Right. We all read
programming program. In Fortran you wrote, or it's just it's a spreadsheet, and you're putting in the frequencies. There's two sources: radio frequency and this website, and Levine what's the other site that everybody uses? Levine.cent.com, Levine.org to get your ham radio frequencies.
We have a comms guy.
What's that?
We have a comms guy. He programs on the radio. Yep.
I am a nerd, and I like all things technical.
Well, here's what I just purchased.
What'd you get?
My wife's not listening to this, but I'm posting it right now.
Baofeng Mark III plus 8-watt better audio. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Jayco, Texas Jayco.
I just bought the Uniden Home Patrol series.
That's somebody. You just posted that.
Yes. That thing cost a lot of money, but Sam Kopler said I'm going to die if I don't have it. So I bought it.
There's radio snobs, there's gun snobs, there's solar inverter snobs. I understand.
But this one, you can listen to all the police.
This is the Harbor Freight version of comms.
Yeah. The one I posted is is a scanner. You can listen to police, fire, all that, even digital, truck, all that kind of stuff. And so I wanted to know what's going on if if people start shutting in, and I want to know what's going on with the government and the police and all that.
Yeah, it says No Name said they're a great scanner. They are a great scanner. I just like being able to have security using the MERS, the Dakota alerts with one of these radios is great. The range is great. Now, how many of us own a property that these can't reach every corner of them?
Mm-hmm.
of the property. So, have a lot, buy a dozen of these versus one amazing radio, and everybody gets one, and, hand them out to your neighbors. This is a great way to break the ice with your neighbors, is this.
Yeah, and we use MERS as well. And there's a trick to using the Dakotas, because you can actually use more than just 4.
Oh yeah, you can I got a customer at 16.
Yeah, and it's all in how you set the because they only have 4 channels.
You have 4 channels, but you can put, sometimes I have people do the outer perimeter as a zone 1. Just
right.
Somebody has broke zone 1, and that's a complete circular perimeter. And then once zone 1 goes off, then if 2 goes off, a vector has been established. Okay.
Right.
They went through 1, they went through 2. At least I have some idea of where that is, whether it's foe or food. They're great food finders too. So, there's a lot of things we could talk about. I mean, I've learned a lot of this by just experimenting with it on my property, and what works, what doesn't, from using these with Dakotas and night vision and all that fun stuff. And there's a lot, and there's guys that are so, they're laughing right now that this is what Uncle Sam paid them to do for 15 years, and they're really, really good at it. But you can learn a lot. You just need to practice your preps.
It's a good time to do that. I mean, get out.
It is an excellent time to fine tune things.
Get some of that mountain house out and eat it for a couple of days, and get some. I got some boxes of MREs up top that I'm looking at. Yeah, break them out and see how long you can live off them suckers.
Yeah, my Mormon food right now is at 10 years, and so I'm betting my flour is not the best. And so I talked about we're going to pull some of that out and see see if it's any good.
And I got right over here. Look at that legacy food right there behind me.
You're teasing people; they can't get it now.
Well, actually, somebody ordered some last week, and they already got it today.
Oh.
So, but they did send a message out saying that they're running behind a little bit now.
There's some total nerds on here building perimeter alarms with Arduino boards and ham shield units. I mean, there's people that are texting, emailing over their radios that really know their stuff, and that's good. If you got somebody like that in your group, you're blessed. Mm-hmm. There's a lot that you can do. It's fun. That's a whole. I don't know how we got onto comms alone. That's just one subject of many. Because
all these Amron people came in because of JJS. They
I got you.
Leave. But Bravo 65 in there is leading everybody through it too. So
one thing I will say, there's a lot of people I meet looking for property. This is going to blow over, and people are going to start to prepare, want to join a group, want to move, want to do something different. And one of the biggest mistakes I find is people buy a property that is so bad. They buy it on the north side. It's going to be hard to heat. There's no sun exposure. They don't have any water. There's no biomass. You can't work the land. It's rocky. So one of the best things you can do is make sure that property is going to work for you. That's what I enjoy doing is having the opportunity to look at a piece of property before we start to bring in infrastructure, and use sunlight, gravity, biomass, goes on and on. That makes such a difference. It's so sad to go to somebody's house and they have an hour worth of sunlight. Seriously.
I think someone told me that you went to their place and said, man, yeah, I would not build a retreat here. After they bought their land. I promise someone told me that. I'm trying to remember.
Well, I don't know if it was, I remember having somebody say that was with me saying to the customer, you are going to die.
Yes. I know who that person was too.
That's not good for business.
Yeah, I know who that person was too.
But anyway. Sorry.
Yeah, you're going to die on this property. That's hilarious.
But there are bad properties. I mean, there's a house in a hole and all the water drains towards the house. If you have to, and I'm sorry because I have a lot of good friends and people I know that do this, but if you have to pump your waste up a hill, you're in trouble. You are the septic tank if the power goes out. People just don't understand that. The perk test didn't work, so now I've got to upflush. I got to have a grinder pump to move all the waste from my family up the hill. I got to have that pump. If that pump goes down, I'm in serious trouble.
Right. You're going to be full of, yeah.
Yes. And
Yep.
buying a house, even on a municipal system where you're the lowest house in the neighborhood, elevation wise, guess what? You're the septic tank for the neighborhood. People don't think about the property and, where the house should go. How's the best way to get the most advantage of, using passive solar techniques that are available that, they're simple things, knowing where the sun is in the winter and in the summer, building your house and your structures appropriately, being on the south side, having that elevation. My favorite thing is to find a house where there's water and I can pump it up above the house. Americans buy houses and they put them up on hills because they want the beautiful view. No prepper or farmer would ever do that.
Right.
You want to be able to take that gravity fed water and bring it to your location so you don't need the power to pressurize. So anyway, that's kind of a fun thing for me, is to look at the property, and because I know what it's going to take to dig all these roads in and pipelines in and power lines in. It's like, oh man, you'd make your life a lot easier if you don't buy that property, because you're going to fight it the rest of your life.
Right.
People that have properties that they're just constantly fighting a side hill. It's difficult, but they went for the view.
Yeah.
Sorry, don't go for the view, folks.
Have you seen the view from my retreat? It's nothing but ocean.
Hey, there's a lot of, I met it's so cool. He's got a boat. He can go from Tennessee to the Bahamas. And the Tennessee River will take you to the Bahamas if you have the skills and the boat. So I was blown away that he could do that. And but that's because he's lived on the ocean a lot, and that's where he's going. If things get bad, he could live on. We
had that one guy at Prepper Camp last year. You remember him? He flew in from Seattle, and he lives.
Oh yeah.
I forgot who.
I
Yeah,
didn't get to talk to him.
I would not like that life though. I wouldn't.
Some people love it. Some people love it, and that's where they thrive, and they can take care of their family, and they know that they can survive, and they have food. They have an endless food source, and they're not fighting people, and it's good. It has its pluses for sure.
Actually, I'm looking here. Sun Oven sponsors this. It's called Rigging Doctor, RIGGING Doctor. And it's this couple that live on their boat and they travel the entire world. And Sun Oven is kind of a sponsor of theirs, and they have a Sun Oven. So they're sailing across the ocean with their Sun Oven strapped to the deck, cooking food and bread.
Why not? They probably have a small wind turbine charging their batteries too, because the wind's always blowing.
But they're called Rigging Doctor.
Rigging Doctor.
Pretty cool couple. And they just go around port to port, and they use our Sun Oven like almost daily. So,
have you been promoting Heritage Life Skills? Somebody just said Heritage Life Skills. So, hey, James.
Yeah, you're going to be at Heritage Life Skills, right?
I'm not going to sit up a table. I'm just going to teach classes this time. I never get to talk to anybody. You sit at your booth, you go teach class. I'm just teaching.
What are you teaching? Water?
I'm teaching about groups.
No, you're not. You would do great at it, I'm sure.
Teach this the same new things that we've learned. Just start from the simple and go to the complicated.
You think we'll have it with the virus? I mean,
I don't know. Jan's probably. I don't know if Jan was on here, but that's Jan's call.
Well, I talked to her last week, and she's going with some backup plans, but she like getting another date possibly later on in the year. But
if somebody could help them with, they could do. There's people that put together a conference, a digital virtual conference.
Mm-hmm.
She could do that with with everybody there. Somebody could pull that together to help them do a digital conference.
And you can make millions.
What?
You can make millions.
Oh no. You remember the ones that they first did? Black Mountain, 1,200 people show. It was amazing.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was amazing. And anyway.
So, well, tell us all your digits, where people can get up with you. all that kind of your tax records, your security, social security number.
Ready
Tell
to
us
release.
all that so people can get in touch with you.
Okay. The easiest is go to our website, practicalpreppers.com. We have a newsletter sign up and links to everything. We've got a brand new website to show off, and we just keep adding stuff and techniques and tools and things, and then yeah, that's probably the easiest way. My email's there, info@practicalpreppers or practicalpreppers@gmail, YouTube, and all this. We were on everything, LinkedIn.
And your YouTube channel has a lot of subscribers, right?
We just passed 250,000.
Dang.
And that's pretty good for a channel that puts you to sleep within the first 3 minutes.
Babies around the world know who you are.
I am very thankful for that. Yeah, I'm dealing with a guy in Haiti that wants to start the solar business. They only have power for like 3 hours at a time, and it goes off. So they hurry up when the grid's on. They charge their batteries, and then they help their neighbors charge their phones off of those batteries that were charged. So I've been talking to this guy Clifford in Haiti. That he's like, I've been watching your videos, and we want to do what you do here. It is fun to help them to just share what you do know. I'm not alone in this. I got Gain Solar, Johnny. You've seen Johnny maybe in the videos. Johnny's great. He really knows his stuff when it comes to inverters. So our team is Johnny Valentine and Abraham and Antonio and guys that love to work doing this stuff. But anyway, that's just, YouTube has been amazing. It's free advertising for me. And I don't know how people do this for us, but people call me, I made $7,000 a month. I'm like, I've never in my life made that kind. They're making that kind of money a month or higher, and I don't know.
On YouTube.
On YouTube, I think a lot of preppers have been demonetized.
Maybe if you had more of me on there, then that could bring.
That could be it.
But you know what you said about working with people overseas. So people don't know this, but the Sun Oven makes a oven called the Villager.
Yes.
Have you seen it?
I've seen it. Yeah.
It's huge. It's like a big satellite dish, and a whole village can use this to cook food. Or we just sold one to a bakery, and the ladies are making bread, then they sell it to support their families and their community. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a manual tracker, right? It has a crank handle on it. Yeah.
Yep. That is the truth. So your wife is giving all your digits, which you didn't do. You're like following on YouTube.
Well,
it's engineer 775. Okay.
Yeah. So I go back. What is more? Yeah, it's either YouTube or my website. So
which she did the website too. She did your email, and I'm waiting for the credit card.
Thank you, dear. Thank you, dear. We just started doing more LinkedIn.
Yeah, Scott.
I was told professional nerds work off of LinkedIn, and I've been slow to get up to that.
Oh, you're not even on LinkedIn?
I have been on LinkedIn for a long time, but I just haven't been using it like I used.
Oh, as a tool. That's too business. That's the business I got away from when I left the bank.
Oh, well, I don't know. I'm just thankful I can live in the middle of the woods and reach the entire world, which is pretty awesome.
Yep, it is.
So I'm no complaints.
So, well, thank you, Scott, for being on my expert panel. And I've called you many times. We just asking sometimes for advice or ideas, and it's so weird that sometimes people contact me to get to you. We still haven't figured out why that happened.
Yeah, I don't know. That is pretty wild. Yeah, I know, right. That hasn't happened lately, but that happened for a while. There was happening a lot.
It was,
but when I changed my website and got away from all the malware bites and every Trojan horses that you had programmed into my digital media, that has stopped.
Oh, okay, yeah, but that was weird how that happened. But thanks for what you do for the prepping community, because when you go to like Heritage Life Skills or Prepper, you just give all this knowledge for free. Your video is a lot of knowledge. It's like you give so much knowledge to people. They go, I can't do that. I need to hire him. That's your magic.
That does work. But what's fun though, the most fun thing, seriously, is to talk to you digitally, design a system using Google Earth, Google Maps. I have some tools, and then ship you everything, and you build it. and then you send me pictures and videos, and you're like, we had done it. I mean, that's a lot of fun that you can walk. And it's sometimes I've not done a good job for those dropping the ball and just not. Some of them have been seamless and have worked really well. Others have been struggles. I've got a couple of places in the country that are very difficult in terms of the amount of snow they receive, how cold it is, their elevation for combustion, over 8,000 feet. Things don't work the way they work in North Carolina or South Carolina. And I'm like, if I can prepare those arcs, those retreats there to work, they'll work anywhere. So that's I've got 2 test sites that have really worked me hard. And so if I can get everything, the water, the power, the heating, the cooling, and everything to work there, it'll work anywhere. So anyway, that's
so
get another hour or two.
I said he'd rather be called a geek than a nerd. So my apologies.
I don't know if that's, I don't know. Whatever.
Okay. Well, Scott, thank you so much for coming on, and we're going to do this again. I am sure. I'm positive, and thank you, like I said, for what you do. And I guess that's a wrap. This season's over. This week of.
Are you going to do this anymore, or I know
I think we're going to do this weekly instead of nightly, and I want to bring in more questions and answers instead of. I mean, I thought what you have to say is so important that people's questions don't matter, but they're telling me that their questions do matter. So I need to. Yeah,
I love questions. It's hard to. You need kind of somebody. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll do that when we do the question and answer. So next week I may bring like 5 people on, and we just hit questions for people. But hey, I want to thank everyone for coming on. We're gonna sign off.
Thank you, folks.
Yeah. Any last words before you die? I mean, before I kill you by hitting the end broadcast.
You can go ahead and kill me.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot, Forrest.
Yep. See you guys. Bye-bye.